From the banks of Dewey Lake, it's the Dewey Pod Monster.
All right, welcome back. My name is John, and this is the Dewey Pod Monster podcast. This is a weekly podcast, and it is primarily about consumption. We are, of course, proud members of the You Run Podcast Network. You can find all of our old episodes, all of our new episodes, and all of our upcoming episodes, as well as all the other amazing podcasts and shows on the You Run Podcast Network at yourunpodcast.com. With me this week is the host of the Dewey Pod Monster podcast, and his name is Sean. And Sean, how the hell are you doing this? What is this, day, evening, week, month, year, something? How are you doing?
Motherfucker, I'm not asking you if you're interested. I'm the fucking president of the United States, man.
Sounds so remarkably similar to current time, right?
Yeah, true.
Before we get into all that goodness and all that wonderful shit, let's talk a little bit about some of the stuff we've been watching. Sean, kick us off. What have you been watching over the last several days?
All right. Well, I've had a chance to get some movie watchings in because I was on a flight and I took a little vacation. And I'm not even going to give you the choice. I'm just going to tell you. I'm going to tell you the movies that I wanted to see. So I'm going to go from...
It's almost like you had 15 minutes to think about this.
Yeah, 1 or 2 or 15. I'm going to go from the
Crazy.
Newest movie to the oldest movie, I think. Don't quote me on that. But I watched a movie, a Stephen King adaptation called The Long Walk, and it takes place in like an alternative reality USA, really a nebulous time. They don't tell you when it is, but essentially it's tough economic times. Doesn't sound so much alternative reality just yet, but a boy from each state is chosen via a lottery and they have to be 16, at least 16. So I think they say there's 48 kids, 48 boys, but I don't know. So maybe that puts where it's supposed to be, but there's some stipulations about this walk. They basically, these kids, these boys have to walk until the last one's walking, essentially. And there's a couple predefined rules, like they have to walk at least. Yeah.
Do they have to walk hard?
I think some of them are flaccid, so I'm not sure. They don't really show them. Okay. So some of the stimulations...
16, I wouldn't think that would be a problem, but okay.
Yeah, well, depends on what they're looking at. Have to walk 3 miles an hour, can't step off the pavement, and there was maybe one other thing, but they have to, if they break any of the rules, they get like a warning. And every warning they get, they have to walk an hour to walk it off. And once they get 3 warnings, they give them their ticket. Based on all that, it's all about the last one walking, and it's about the friends that they meet along the way. From the start of the journey to the end of the journey, we follow kind of 3 or 4, maybe 5 main boys, main guys, main men. And I really enjoyed it. It was surprisingly a bit touching. I watched that in the airplane. And I was like, kind of rubbing away. So I had some dust in my eye. So that's the newest thing that I watched. Next up, I think you may have watched this. It's a little documentary. Maybe you want to talk with me about this, called Winnebago Man. Now, did you?
I'm just going to put it out there. Jack Rebney, although he's now currently dead, might very well be my spirit animal. Because listen, I'm familiar with Jack Rebney before this documentary. And I'll let you go into a little more detail as to who it is. And I'm sure we came to it through similar means. But just listening to him get unnecessarily lividly pissed off at the littlest thing, I feel that spirit just embody me on a daily basis. Every time I turn on my computer, every time Microsoft Office does something fucking stupid, every time someone drives 10 under the speed limit for no fucking reason, I turn into a little bit of Jack Rebney.
Get out of here, you fucking flies. So Jack Rebney, we've discussed Jack Rebney for a few seconds here. So this is actually a rewatch for me. I watched this, I don't know, 5+ years ago. It's been quite a while. But so there was, in the early days of YouTube, there was a video that was circulating around, and it was something like the angriest man in the world or the angriest Winnebago salesman. And Winnebago Man is about Jack Rebney, and Jack Rebney was a guy who filmed like industrial films, and this specific one is him making like a big sales video for a promotional video for Winnebagos. And the crew found him to be so funny or so like just whatever amusing that they kept the tape rolling in between cuts, and he was kind of flubbing things and he would get really upset. And someone made like this super cut of all the bloopers, outtakes from this session, and they kind of passed it around in tape trading circuits, kind of like the Shut Up Little Man documentary I watched a couple weeks ago. And this video eventually made it onto YouTube, and the director of Winnebago Man saw this and he was really curious about like, what is this guy's story? Is he still alive? Why was he so angry? How did this tape come to pass? So the documentary follows him in his kind of trek journey, whatnot, to find Jack Rebney, to kind of find out more information about him. They filmed the entire, or they interviewed the entire crew that put this thing together that worked with Jack Rebney, and they kind of relay their feelings about him. And then eventually the director finds him and records him, kind of like a what's going on, where are they now kind of thing, interview with Jack Rebney. And he calls them like a couple days later, calls the filmmaker, and he's like, listen, I wasn't really genuine with you. I want to kind of give you a little bit more information, or, you know, whatever.
This is my favorite part of this documentary. And spoilers, if you're going to go search out Winnebago Man, which you absolutely should.
You don't have to search. It'll be in the show notes.
Well, that too. I love that they spend the first, like, this movie's probably about an hour and 20 minutes long. I don't have it in front of me right now, but they spend the first like 20 to 25 minutes finding Jack and getting him to sit down, and he's very polite and well-mannered, and he's very much so trying to put out the perception that he is just a, you know, isolated guy that likes to be by himself, live off the land type dude, real mountain man type guy.
Maybe a little
misunderstood. I love that he pulls it. Yeah. And I love that he pulls a total 180 like 2 days later. And he's like, fuck this. I'm just totally like the exact same guy. And then you find out the most unsurprising thing. He wants to make sure people know about his views on politics and religion and other hot button issues, I'm sure. And thankfully, the documentary never really like goes too far in on his teachings, beliefs, whatever. It basically just turns into like a new supercut of him being pissed off at things somewhat. At least it seems like there's an inspiration behind it more so than before.
Yeah.
But his 180 from when they first find him to like 2 days later is, I'm sorry, that should, they give Oscars for documentaries, right? They should have won an Oscar for that.
Yeah. And the involvement that kind of got me interested, and I think this is actually the first time I saw the found footage guys, and we've been talking about them the last couple of weeks, but they're featured in this because they bring him to San Francisco to talk to, like, have a live Q&A with an audience, and Nick and Joe are there, and they present him to the audience. They have questions, and he gets to do a meet and greet afterwards. So you said you knew a bit about Jack Rebney before. How do you know about Jack?
Because of found footage.
Oh, okay.
Festival. Like,
they
played it when we saw them in spring, whenever it was. They played it, and I remember him saying something about that he had passed away and whatnot, but that was like they had said this is their like greatest hit show, and I mean, yeah, the Winnebago Man deserves to be in there.
Yeah.
So that was the first time that I feel like I probably did see this at some point earlier, because I mean it seems somewhat familiar, but I don't really remember. You see so much shit on the internet that it almost just
hard to keep track.
Boils down. And yeah, like, did I watch this guy swearing at a Winnebago? No, that was a guy speeding at a speedboat or something. So that's my like memory of finding it recently, is from when we saw them in springish. But when I realized there was a full documentary, I'm like, well, that's going right to the top of the to watch list, and made it happen this week.
Yeah. So, and it'll be linked in the show notes. The last thing I want to talk about is a movie. I'm not quite sure what the title is. On the marquee, like the title card in the movie, it says LA Streetfighters. On IMDb, I think it's actually called Los Angeles Streetfighters, and I've seen it called that other places, but you wouldn't think they'd mess up the title card, so whatever. But this movie is about a guy that moves into a new town.
I mean, we did see a movie with it's not a title card, but a card that spelled the word lose wrong in it. So.
Oh, true. This is a guy moves into a new town. He's new at this school, and he gets kind of picked on by one of the gangs of guys, and another gang leader guy comes up and he's like, hey, leave this guy alone. And there's this little kung fu fight in the courtyard of this school. This movie, everybody in the movie, they're all supposed to be in high school. Everybody looks like they're at least 40 years old, and they cannot afford a single, like even a flashlight for any kind of lighting in the entire movie.
So it's like Stranger Things.
I haven't seen the most the 40-year-old part. I thought you meant the flashlights.
Yeah.
This movie has the thinnest plot.
That would be like Prom Night.
It is like,
or not Prom Night, Prom Queen, whatever the fucking Fear Street movie is. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm interrupting you.
The Fear Street stuff. This movie is like the thinnest plot ever. It's basically the students are fighting in this, they're having a rumble in this alley, and a guy comes up and he's like, hey, I like the way you fight. I'd like to hire you for a security job. And then that moves them being bodyguards. This gang of high school kids are like bodyguards, and the one guy, the lead guy of the good gang, his mom is like I don't know if she's like a prostitute or something. She's drunk all the time. She's inviting men over to the house, and he's like, he's super sensitive, and he gets to meet the new kid in school. I am barely explaining this to you because there's barely a plot to it. It just has like one of the most ridiculous.
You're selling it to me. I don't know what you're talking about.
You should watch this. It has the most ridiculous ending. It's not like a good movie, but it's very entertaining. The fighting is also stupid, and just the situations that they get into. Everything is dubbed. Even the people, they're dubbed, but they're not even dubbed by like English speaking people. They're dubbed by people with accents of the characters that they're playing. So it's like, why is this dubbed at all?
I'm always a fan of that.
Yeah,
so
it's
I'm
great.
always a fan of unnecessary dubbing.
There is minimal sound in the movie except for the dubbing, and there is a pretty awesome 80s soundtrack, and it's weird because in the credits in that opening title card, it's like original music by somebody, and you're like, why is this a big deal? I would actually recommend it. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Like I've already kind of sold you on this, but it is a lot of fun. That is LA Streetfighters or Los Angeles Streetfighters. Again, it'll be linked in the show notes. It is free online somewhere, so I'll link that. But John, that's what I got a chance to watch. What have you been watching?
Nothing as interesting as LA Los Angeles Streetfighters for sure. Do you want the good or the not as great first?
Save the best for last. I'm always a fan of that.
Okay. So surprisingly, the one that we already talked about, Winnebago Man, so that's off the watch this week list. I went back, and those movies that you watch like every 10 to 20 years that you're like, I know I've seen this before and I don't remember hating it, but I don't really remember a ton about it. So I'm going to go back and refresh myself on it.
Of course. I
went back and watched The People Under the Stairs, which I remember being a lot crazier than it is. And don't get me wrong, this movie has its bit of crazy to it. So People Under the Stairs is a early 80s. It's before, I believe it's, or is this 90s? Oh, should have wrote this down.
Damn the man.
So People Under the Stairs, it's 91. So it's between Freddy and Scream. It's Wes Craven working something out. And the basic premise of this movie is 3 guys go into this home to rob it. They're going to burgle it, and there's bigger problems in the home than they expected. And it goes into this rabbit hole of like Reaganomics, cannibalism, sort of, and a lot of like racist undertones kind of throughout the whole movie. It's listed as a dark comedy and a horror movie, so a horror comedy in between. And watching it this time, one, I should state that I actually stopped the movie about 30 minutes in, like, I just don't feel like dealing with this, and then came back to it the next day to finish it, which is usually a bad sign when you like can't just sit through it. You have to stop it and go back to it. But this is a weird movie because it is weird, but not necessarily in a good way. The problem I have with it, the comedy never really lands for me. There's a couple like, it's closer to like jump scare reaction type things where it's so stupid that I kind of laugh at like that. But the actual comedy part of it, that's not something popping out and being crazy, doesn't land at any point. And then, okay, that'd be fine because this is a Wes Craven movie. It should be a horror movie. There should be all kinds of other crazy shit happening. And that never really gets to that point either. Like it does have some like creepy elements to it. And I guess it has cannibals in it, but I kind of feel like that's almost like such a small part of what actually happens through the majority of this movie that I don't know. I think part of the problem was in my head, like I always picture the scene at the end of Weird Science where everyone starts bursting through this party and they look like, a bunch of Rocky Horror Picture Show extras. That I always imagine something more like that where it's more crazy, but like more pushing to the horror side of it, and it never really gets there. I feel like it's a weird movie because Wes Craven definitely seems like he has something he's trying to say in this movie. Like there's a commentary there. I just don't think he stuck the landing on this one at all, which is kind of saying a lot because Wes Craven's actually pretty good at doing that for the most part. And it's also weird, and tell me if I'm wrong for this, like come at me if you need to in the comment section or whatever, but this is a movie that I feel like would strongly benefit from a remake of some kind, because I feel like there are some decent ideas here, but like I said, it just never lands. So this would be the movie if they were like, hey, we're remaking People of the Stairs. I'd be a little skeptical of it because, like I said, the racial undertones are a really heavy-handed like theme in this. And if you don't get the right guy to do it, that's going to fuck it up real quick. But the idea of like, if we're going to remake movies that were decent ideas and like make them better, this kind of fits that bill for me. Like it feels like someone could have pushed this a little further, done it a little bit better than what we got. Or maybe you just lose that undertone altogether and just turn it into this crazy cannibals in the wall and just make it like totally apeshit, like fucko through the whole fucking movie. I mean, it's worth giving a watch, especially if you're a Wes Craven like completist, which shouldn't we all be? Like Wes Craven was great. But I will say, like, after watching it now, like if I were doing a ranking of Wes Craven movies, this one would be pretty on the low end of the scale, just because I don't know. It just, maybe it was my mood, but it just didn't hook me this time. And I'm like, there's really not a ton to sink my teeth into. And that kind of sucks coming from Wes Craven. And I don't know about you, but I feel like there's especially guys who like cut their teeth in the 70s and the 80s. I feel like that's kind of a common thread once we get to the 90s with a lot of them.
Yeah, I think a lot of them just kind of lost as to what to do with the changing landscape of movies. And they're, by that time, a lot of these guys started in the late 70s. So they've already pretty far into their career, and there wasn't a lot really to maybe left for them to say. It's kind of like a good band or a band that you really like, kind of getting later on in those albums.
After they get past like 2 or 3 albums. Yeah.
Yeah. Where's the angst?
And some of them come back and some don't. So
yeah.
And thankfully Wes was one of the ones that came back, but whatever. So yeah, People Under the Stairs. It's a movie. If we were doing hot dogs on that, this would be like teetering on no hot dogs, but I would probably give it a half hot dog because Wes Craven's name is on it. That's, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I'm switching gears to something that I did like. So you've heard me talk about the Creep tapes recently, for better or worse. And the new season just came out, and I absolutely love the first episode of the second season. So it's got David Dastmalchian playing a guest role in this particular episode. And this doesn't really spoil anything because you haven't seen the first movie, but he's more or less remaking the first movie. But because they're introducing another person with similar motives to what Mark Duplass's character is, whatever we're calling him, I forget. Doesn't matter.
Creep.
It just, creep on creep action. It's fun because the comedy finally lands in it again. Like it's only 25 minutes long per an episode, but I never felt like I knew exactly where it was going to go. And it got back to being weird and creepy, but also being intriguing and if you're not going to make a movie that's got a bunch of effects or a bunch of, things to distract you from the plot, you better have a really solid plot. And this one did a really good job with the plot, where I can't say that about all the other episodes. And Dastmalchian and Duplass playing off each other. So the double D action in this, fantastic. Like these two, I would love to, I don't know what the project would be, but if you put these two in like some kind of weird buddy horror movie, I'd be 100% on board for it just off of this 25-minute episode. So yeah, don't know if the rest of the season will hold up to that level, but episode 1 of season 2, big fan, definitely recommend checking that out, especially if you're, honestly, you don't even need to watch most of the other ones, but of the show, but if you've watched the first movie, then this is a fantastic companion to go with it. You could even skip the second movie,
Sounds like a good place to jump in.
But yeah, I enjoyed that. And then we already talked the other thing that I was, we already talked the other thing I was going to bring up. So I think it's a good enough time to kind of switch gears, talk about the topic at hand. And, we'll do that after the break. Hey, John here. We recently conducted a survey of 500 senior citizens, and 499 of them said they would rather listen to any podcast other than the Dewey Pod Monster. We're here today to talk to the one. This is Crazy Balls Johnson. Crazy Balls, what do you like about the Dewey Pod Monster podcast?
I love that you guys are always balls to the wall, living life on the edge, talking about bullshit movies that everyone else hates. But I eat that shit up like a pig in slop.
You heard it here, folks. You can eat that shit up like a pig in slop, too, along with all the other fine podcasts at yourunpodcast.com. All right, so we're back, and this week, for Thanksgiving, we're talking about the most plentiful movie that I could possibly think of, the movie that will absolutely fill your belly, and then come back and beat you over the head with some dessert. That movie is Machete Kills. It came out in 2013, and we're going to go right to the third-party review. This third-party review is anonymous. And they say, before you start asking questions, this movie is indeed a piece of crap. 4 out of 5 stars.
That's great. I love it.
So, Sean, what is Machete Kills about?
All right. So for that, we go over to a website. It's called imdb.com. And we look up the words machete and kills. And it pulls up this movie that I'm looking at right now. It's from 2013. It gets an R rating. It is an hour and 47 minutes long. And it gets a 5.6 out of 10 with 85,000 ratings. We go to the storyline of the plot or whatever's up on top because they wouldn't put it up on top if it wasn't supposed to be read first. It says the U.S. government recruits Machete to battle his way through Mexico in order to take down an arms dealer who looks to launch a weapon into space. And then if we scroll on down to this other thing that says storyline, this comes care of Nick Reganis, frequent contributor Nick Reganis. Thank you, Nick, for writing in. It says, patrolling the U.S. border with his gun-toting lover, Sartana, after the massacre in Machete, the stone-faced former Mexican federale, Machete, receives a call from the president himself of the United States. Thirsting for retribution, Machete embarks on a deadly mission to bring to Texas the megalomaniac Mexican revolutionary Marcos, who has a nuclear missile pointed at Washington, D.C. Now, Machete, an undercover agent, Miss San Antonio, have to stop a global war as the shape-shifting assassin, La Chameleon, is hot on their trail. Can Machete's hungry blades avert the impending Armageddon? ?
I feel like every single one of these, every single description of the movie needs that level of enthusiasm.
Machete.
Read. Exactly. So I think we'll be here like all night.
Oh, geez.
If you tell us everyone in the cast, but do you want to cherry pick some people who are in this? Because there's a shit ton.
There are. So I did boil it down. I did boil the cast down. It's a little bit more of a concentrate of who we want to talk about. But we have, of course, in the lead role of Machete, Cortez, which I didn't know he had a last name before this. Did he have a last name before this? I think this is the first instance of him having a last name. We have Danny Trejo, who plays...
Don't know, don't care.
Yeah, he plays Machete in the movies. Machete. From Dusk Till Dawn, Predators, Bulletproof, Con Air, several other movies. We have Mel Gibson, who plays Luther Voss. He is Max from the original Mad Max movies. He's been in Lethal Weapon, in the Lethal Weapon series. He was in Bravehearts. He's been in tons of stuff. He's been in tons of stuff. We have Amber Heard, who plays Blanca Vasquez, a.k.a. Miss San Antonio. She's the woman that pooped in Johnny Depp's bed. She was in Alpha Dog. She was in Drive Angry. She was in The Rum Diary, and she was in Justice League. We have Michelle Rodriguez, who plays Luce. She is Letty from the Fast and Furious series. She was in Girl Fight, several other things. We have Charlie Sheen, also known as Carlos Estevez. He is Mr. President.
I'm going to stop you for a second.
Yes.
I love that the original poster for this has him billed as Carlos Estevan.
That's who he is.
Charlie Sheen.
That's who he is.
I know, but I love that. I think this is the only movie where he's billed as Carlos Estevan as opposed to Charlie Sheen.
Estevez. I'm sorry. He was in Grizzly 2. He was in Major League, the Major League movies. I think the first two at least. He was in The Rookie. He was in Wall Street. He was in The Chase. He was in Men at Work. He was in Spin City. And then I'm just going to name these 4 people in a row. I'm not even going to name Sofia Vergara or the several other people that I'm not naming. So we have Walton Goggins, we have Cuba Gooding Jr., Lady Gaga, and Antonio Banderas as La Chameleon. And that's who we have as our cast.
Plus like 50 other
yeah,
people.
There's like so many
but-
people. We could just be here reading the cast list and not run out of people.
So we're not going to do that, but let's, again, this is a good one to kind of go back and forth with because there's plenty, I think, probably on both sides of the coin. Let's start with likes. I'll go ahead and kick us off just to kind of keep it easy. I love that this movie does not give a fuck. This movie, in so many ways, feels like Robert Rodriguez got the green light to make Machete sequel, called it Machete Kills. And I think he kind of knew that he wasn't going to have much more leash after this to do another one of these movies. So I think he just threw fucking every idea he could into this movie, inflated the runtime more than it needs to be, even made a couple trailers for the movie that probably will never happen because at this point, Danny Trejo's kind of up there.
Damn near 100 years old.
Yeah, like I mean, there's plenty of things that you could, and I will come back to complaining about the runtime eventually, but I like that he just said, fuck it, and said, you guys want more Machete? I'm giving you more Machete, and just went for it with this movie. And
what's this? He was in a movie called Machete?
Machete, sorry.
Nah, I don't know that one. We're at a figurative Mexican standoff here, John.
Sure. So how about you? What do you like about this one?
I mean, first off, let me just lead with this. When I was watching this movie, my wife, she looks over and she's like, what are you watching? I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, you're watching a real movie. And I said, yeah. And she's like, I thought you guys only talked about stupid stuff. And I was like, no, we talk about real
Give
movies
this movie
all the time.
5 minutes.
I am watching Machete. Come on, man. Give me a break. You know what you said about them kind of him Rodriguez using all the tricks. He's like, I'm just going to pour it all out because who knows. I love the fact that the movie opens with a trailer for the next movie. You don't even get to what this movie, what Machete Kills is about. And you are already seeing a trailer for Machete Kills in space. And I think that's just genius.
I want that movie.
Oh yeah.
By the way,
I want
that movie so bad.
I was looking on that little website called IMDb to be like, did I miss this? Like, did this, cause I watched the first Machete in the theater, really enjoyed it. We all my friends and I, we were just hooting and hollering like it was that kind of movie to see for that. And I feel like however long it took for this movie to come out, I just didn't see it in the theater. So when I saw this at this time and saw that the trailer was like Machete Kills in space, I was like, holy shit, did this come out and I just didn't see it? It's one of those things where when Grindhouse came out and they did the trailer for Machete and you were like, oh, that's awesome. That'd be really cool if they made that. And then they made it. I was wondering if In Space had actually happened and I missed it. And it's complete. The trailer is complete with a Wilhelm scream. So how could you not enjoy that?
There's a couple throughout the movie, actually, but the trailer does it perfectly.
Yeah.
And as long as we're talking about Machete Kills in space, I love that the Star Wars references through this movie because they have the little, I love seeing Machete in the little speeder, whatever the fucking thing is from A New Hope, like just puttering out of this like military base and going to like murder a bunch of that's filmmaking. I'm sorry. That's absolutely perfect. And I love that even 5 minutes before that, Mel Gibson's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm kind of a Star Wars dork. And it's just like a throwaway line, but it's perfect.
I think it's great that when Machete is driving away in the speeder, he's going off he's kind of running away and there's just all these big vehicles chasing after him, all these guys loaded up to the gills with guns. And he's just in this little go-kart, basically. He's like, ah, shit.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a nice touch.
I like with this movie too, I don't even know if you could still make this movie today because I feel like the casting is just like, find me the most gorgeous women on the planet and I'm going to have them barely dressed and somehow turn, if they are dressed, they're going to be either covered in blood or using their sexual organs to murder people. Because it kind of feels like a big chunk of what women do in this movie.
Yeah, Sofia Vergara plays this brothel owner or runner, manager, whatever. And she's perfectly cast in this because she's, number one, she's gorgeous. So it's not like she's very easy on the eyes. And that she's one that always has some kind of like blades or some
she
kind
hates
of,
men. She's got a vendetta against men.
She's a man eater, and she has like some kind of hidden thing in her bra, or she has the bra with like the Gatling guns on it, or the what does she call it?
I love when she brought back Tom Savini's like cock gun from, it's the same gun from Dusk Till Dawn, but it's kind of more erotic when she wears it than when he does.
Yeah, and she does like the thrust of her hips, and it shoots these huge bullets. And there's a scene where Machete is driving this armored kind of pickup, or it's like an El Camino or something, like an armored El Camino. It says like Chingon on the back of it. And she's driving away, and everything in this whole movie, anytime a round is fired at this thing, they're like bouncing off. It's armor plated. It's not a big deal. But when she has that her strap on gun, she's doing the thrust, and it like pierces it. It's the only thing in the movie that's damaged this car at all. And it's just a really nice touch to the film that they put that in there. I also really enjoy that like Alec Baldwin could have learned a few things from this movie, because Rodriguez there's no blanks. It's all just people kind of like pantomiming the motion of a gun shooting and then adding muzzle flash to it. He is like the master. I mean, in every movie that he's done, if you think of something like Spy Kids, if you think of the Machete movies, if you think of like From Dusk Till Dawn, if you think of Planet Terror,
Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Yeah. El Mariachi. Yeah. Every movie that he's done, he is like, I mean, he learned from having no money, from having no budget and doing these things. And his philosophy is basically like making these movies on the cheap, but making them look like realistic. They're all very well done, even with no budget. And he really embraces that kind of grindhouse aesthetic where he is doing these preposterous things. You know, things are just going off. There's, besides just the aesthetic things like the film grain, little hairs on the film, and you know, the speckles and everything. But he is totally embracing this low budget filmmaking aesthetic or philosophy or whatnot. Like no bullets, no blanks are fired, but he is making it seem like this grandiose story is being told, even though, like, you know, this is all being done on green screens, or at least there's some green screen element to it. Like I'm saying with the Spy Kids stuff, like these movies, he's making these movies so shoestring, but they look so good. He always has a way of putting these finishing touches on them that other filmmakers don't do when they make movies like this. And it's just like it's a really great thing to look at if you're even just into how films are made, because you can tell he cares. Like he really cares about these movies. This is like the most preposterous story, plot, whatever you want to say. Like the whole thing is just preposterous, but he takes it so seriously, and you can tell he's putting a lot of love into the craft of him making these films, even though they're just over the top and ridiculous.
So you mentioned something that I have both as a negative and a positive, so I'll just bring it out now. I think this movie is probably 95% shot on a green screen. And I think this time watching it especially, I could really tell on it. And if I had to guess, that's probably how the first movie was shot too. But the difference between this movie and the first movie and how they looks is what you said, the grindhouse aesthetic, the speckles, the scratches and all that. That's almost all gone in this movie. There's maybe a couple here and there, but if you look at it compared to the first one, especially if you look at it compared to Planet Terror, that one has it even like twice as much as these two movies do. That whole, like, we're fucking with the look, I'm going to call it a filter for like lazy purposes, is gone. It's mostly a cleaned up green screen shoot, and it's not bad because it never takes you out of it. It always looks good on screen. It always kind of has this like almost like larger than life look to it, which I'm sure this is just shot on like a soundstage somewhere or something where they, you know, bring some sand in and make it look hilly or whatever. But where I was going with that, if you're going to do like an entire movie on green screen, which I think happens quite a bit now, I wish more movies looked like this, because although I'm very much so aware that he's not going to all these locations, it never takes me out of it. I don't even remember noticing that before this particular viewing. So if I'm not watching it with a more critical eye, I don't think I even notice.
I think there's something that, while there aren't so many of the scratches, the speckles, the hairs, all that kind of stuff that you would see on the film transfer, I feel like the way that he uses color in the movie, it's this whole color grade on the movie. It's very yellow, very brown. The way that it looks like a desert. It looks like what you would expect if from, an outsider's perspective, it's what Mexico would look like, right? Like how you imagine the sun hitting the cliffs and hitting the sand and hitting the dirt and everything. The reds, the thing that stands out to me is that the reds really pop in this, and the way that the reds look mimic the way that you would expect, or how like vibrant and vivid reds look on old grindhouse movies. And there's just something about the way that like maybe graphics when I say graphics, I mean like words on the screen. If they're red, they really have this blur to them when they move. It looks like an old print. Where you don't see so much of the dirtiness of the transfer or whatnot, you see it in the way that those colors move on the screen. They kind of smudge or they kind of blur, as opposed to them being like super crisp all the time. And I think that's he really captured that very well in this movie. Like, I don't know if he's really done that so much since this movie, but this movie, it really stands out. It's almost like the height or the peak of his ability, or the way that he's presenting the film in this way.
Yeah, he's only done a couple things since this movie, I believe, and I don't think I've actually watched much of it, because he did, I think, another movie for his kids, which, I mean, more power to him. I'm not going to shit on a guy for doing something. If you can do something for your kids, then do it. He did the second Sin City movie, which, and then he did was it Ultima or it was some movie about like a video game character or something like that. It had Christoph Waltz in it. Can't think of what it is now. But when I think of Robert Rodriguez and his films, it's the Machetes, the El Mariachi series, Planet Terror. Those are the movies that really make me think of him as which is probably unfair because that's only like a third of his career. But when he's doing those kinds of movies, when he's doing like a hard R movie, especially for modern filmmakers, I don't think there's a guy out there who consistently makes movies that I just fucking love from start to finish, quite like Robert Rodriguez does. What else do we like about this movie? Machete Kills in this movie. He kills I don't know what the body count is in this. I love that in this movie, helicopters are just like a instrument of death for Machete to throw bodies into and turn them into hamburger, basically, because that happens, I think, 3 times in this movie.
Or he uses it as an implementation to turn people into hamburger. Yeah.
Right. Which I think is amazing. We could probably go all day just about like, oh yeah, that scene's really great. That scene's really great. We haven't even really talked about the story of this movie. Is that something that we want to get into?
I think we could probably talk about it. This is a 12-year-old movie, but I want to add, there are so many scenes in this movie, so many quotable lines. I like to start, when we start these shows off, these episodes off, you ask me how I'm doing. I like to start it with a quote from the movie. There were so many things that I had written down, and I'm like, no, this one's better. No, this one's better. The one that I landed on, it happens early in the movie, but I wrote it down. I was like, I'm not going to update it. This is just what I'm going with. This seems like a really great quote. But then there's like another one. Then there's another one. Then there's another one. And there are so many, like you just mentioned, there are so many really great scenes that happen. I just want to kind of touch on 2 that I find to be ones that really stand out to me that just had me laughing. Like there's one where we already talked about like the armored El Camino kind of raised car, and they go to see the guy that made the car. Like, oh, I know a guy, he made this car. They go to see him, he's in a wheelchair, and all the enemy, the bad guys are coming towards him. You wouldn't shoot a guy in a wheelchair, would you? He's like, no. And then Machete shoots the tank on the back of his wheelchair, and it just propels him out into the fire of all these guys. He just gets mauled. And the other thing is the scene where
you forgot the best part of that, though.
Yeah,
because as he gets mauled by all these bullets, a fucking missile comes in and blows him up.
Everything's always just insult to injury. Like, it just adds this extra touch to it. The other one I'll mention is there's a guy in one of the scenes, he has a whip, and he's like whipping the thing, and he's like doing this big show of it. Machete just goes up, and he just, he kills him, and Machete actually shoots him, I think. And that's one of the few times he actually uses a gun. And it reminds me so much of that Indiana Jones clip where the guy's like swinging the sword around. He does all the he's doing the juggling with the sword, and Indy just shoots him. It's kind of the same thing, and it was a nice touch. It almost felt like a throwback, but Robert Rodriguez probably did it as a throwback. But it's just like it shows his kind of the humorous side to this movie too.
So going into this, as far as what this movie's actually about, because we've been talking about it for a while,
right?
This is actually a really simple story.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this story is as simple as Machete's Jessica Alba gets killed in the first, like, I don't know, it's probably like the first 15 minutes, because there's like 10 minutes of trailers and credits to begin with.
I think it's before the title scene.
So she gets killed really early, and then essentially from that point on, we find out that Machete is out for revenge, and then as the story progresses, we find out who Machete is going to get revenge against. Now, the fun thing about this movie, and like that's the very bare bones of the story. But this movie, like, if I were to say, what is this movie really about? It's how many psychopaths and hot women can we have try to kill Machete, and he either fucks them or kills them in return, or both, depending on the person.
Yeah.
And it's really just like an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes of how many terrible things can we have happen to this guy to only have them turn those terrible things against whoever's doing it to him. Because he is a superhero for all intents and purpose with this. Like, he gets shot, he gets knocked down, but like, what's going to happen. Machete's going to win the day, right? Yeah. So
he even gets hung.
Now, as the movie progresses, I will say, I really like Mel Gibson in this movie. Like, he's a very funny, like, he's the big bad for this movie. We find that out after about an hour with another guy who you kind of think is the big bad until he's very quickly disposed of. He's such a cynical prick, and he's almost like talking to Machete in terms of, he's talking about his big plan as if it's on the same scale as kicking over the kid's sandcastle in the backyard, but he's really basically trying to destroy the fucking world. And Machete's kind of in the middle fighting him. Is that somewhat accurate?
Yeah, I would say, to go even deeper, when Jessica Alba is killed in the first part of the movie, spoilers, sorry, for a 12-plus-year-old movie.
Again, first like 5 minutes of the actual movie.
When it gets very early. So. Charlie Sheen is the president. He gets in contact with Machete. He says, hey, there's this guy in Mexico. He's a bad guy. I need you to go down and talk to him. But if he mouths off, kill him. So Machete goes down there. He's like, hey, don't do this thing. You got this missile pointed at Washington, D.C. Don't be a dickhead. Let's talk this over. You find out that this guy has a device triggered to his heart. So if he dies, if he dies at all, then this missile gets launched to the US. As they're talking, the guy pulls this pin on this device, and it sets off a timer that says, hey, you got 24 hours in setting this missile off until, if somebody can disarm this thing in my heart, then, it won't go off. And you find out that the person that is the one that implanted it is Mel Gibson, and he's done this to multiple people across the world. So basically, regardless of what Machete does, the U.S., Washington, D.C. is kind of fucked. Mm-hmm. But I totally agree. Mel Gibson is like such a great, like, I don't really like Mel Gibson for assorted reasons, but he is a great.
I don't like Mel Gibson the person, but I find Mel Gibson the actor to be pretty entertaining more often than not.
He is such a hateable prick in this movie, and you're just like,
but in a good way, like in the way that you want your bad guy to be.
Exactly. 100%. He's not a good guy. You root for him to be killed. You root for Machete to be the one to do it. But he is such an entertaining character when he's on screen that you're like, I can't wait to see what stupid thing he either pulls out of his hat or that he does next to kind of foil all the things that the good guys are doing. He's just a really great villain, an on-screen villain.
And in fairness, we said this about Steven Seagal in the last movie, not quite to the same extent, but like, he's kind of the same, like, he's a shitty human being, often entertaining as an actor. And he's, again, I will always laugh at when he's got that fucking katana in his gut and he's like, this ain't shit. And he just kills himself, because that's what Steven Seagal would do for some reason. Like, Mel Gibson doesn't quite have that character arc, but maybe we just have to give credit to Rodriguez again. Like, he just makes really entertaining bad guys that, like, You know you hate them. You know they're assholes. You know they're going to get theirs, and it's going to be, you know, whatever. But they're also really like entertaining, like look at this prick kind of way whenever they're on screen. So
Well, that's the thing about this movie too. Like for me, I just really love that this is almost a nonstop action adventure. I know I have a feeling, like we didn't talk about this, but I have a feeling you're going to mention something about the runtime. But
Yeah.
at the same time,
we did mention it, but we're going to go back to it.
I'm sure for you it'll be a negative. It's always moving. There's never a dull moment. There's never a moment where they linger too long, where the camera lingers too long, where we're just kind of like, okay, what's going to go on next? It is one of those movies. It feels like that's set piece to set piece, but it feels like there is real coherent connective tissue, and there is a reason for it to be a set piece to set piece to set piece. Whereas other movies, like I think not Machete, but another Steven Seagal movie that we've talked about, I don't remember which one, but those feel sometimes, yeah, they feel like they're just set piece for Seagal to go and do some Aikido and like snap some guy's neck, and then go to the next scene and do some more Aikido and snap some guy's neck, and then do the same thing. It's very rinse and repeat. Whereas this feels like, while it is set piece to set piece to set piece for people to get shot with molecular guns that turn them inside out or whatever, there's always something that's pushing the story forward. And I feel like that's a real big plus for this, even though it is a little long.
Well, and that's kind of how I feel about it too. Like, I don't even need to go into it much more than that. Like, is this movie too long? Yeah, I'd say this is probably about anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes. If you could tighten it up just by about that much, it'd probably be that much more, I don't know, tight, I guess. That said, this is one of the instances where an hour and 47 minutes, like, this movie just flies by. There is never a point where there isn't something moderately interesting going on screen. And even the downtimes, like, there may be 15 seconds of downtime between whatever one thing is to another. And even like, it's playing behind me right now, like Machete is about to pop out of the trunk of a car and run off into the desert. And even that, there's just, it's like a 10-second screen where they just show him like time lapse running away. And it's great because I love Danny Trejo to death, but like, I don't think the man's a sprinter. Just gonna put it out there.
I love any scene where you get to see him run away from something, and he does it so much in this movie. So it's perfect. You just see the long hair flowing and the black jeans or whatever, running with the vest on. That's like constantly happening. So I'm always
the other thing they do a lot in this movie is I like when they make absolutely no effort to hide how tall Danny Trejo is not. Specifically, there's a scene at the end where he's going to a spaceship and he's in the full, aside from the helmet, he's in like full astronaut gear. And I don't remember who's standing there with him. It's Elon Musk. And that's a downside, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, Elon Musk is like a foot taller than him in this scene. And he's like, good luck, Machete. He's like, yeah, fuck you, Elon, and whatever. And moves on to, that's not what he says. We didn't know Elon was a prick at this point when this came out, or at least not this openly. Anytime that there's a gag, though, and I don't even know if it's a gag. I think it's just he didn't feel like reshooting it or edit, whatever. When you can see the like height difference between Danny Trejo and other actor, always comical, because for those who don't know, Danny Trejo is kind of like a Henry Rollins or a Glenn Danzig. He's on the shorter side.
And I think that we didn't bring up like a lot of things, but
how could you? There's so much.
There's just so much going on. But yeah, like Mel Gibson's character is basically a stand-in for Elon Musk. Like he is, you know, while Elon Musk is also in this movie.
Now he is for sure. Yeah, but I don't know about it in 2013, right? But now he is for sure.
It's hard to say if that was intentional or not. But he very much seems like, you know, oh, I've got I'm selling the flamethrower. I mean, he's not really selling a flamethrower, but you could see Mel Gibson being the guy to be selling the flamethrower, to be boring the tunnel from LA to wherever the hell it's supposed to go, to be the guy that has the electric car company, to be the guy that owns the social media company and all these other things. He feels like, in retrospect and hindsight, you look at it and you're like, oh no, that's Elon Musk. And then Elon Musk shows up in the movies. It's like a nice kind of dichotomy of things. And I don't know. And we didn't talk about like Amber Heard's whole role in this. She's like this kind of double agent. She's working for Voz, but she's also like the person that's the handler for Machete. And it's while it's a very simplistic story at face value, it's also kind of complex with all the interweavings of all these characters showing up. One of my, I don't know if we want to move into dislikes just yet, but I don't have very
I
many.
mean, we might as well just mix them in
Spew
because
it,
I've already
spew
said
it in.
Well, I've already said the ones that I would put in there, which would be the lack of the film grain and like them cleaning shit up and nitpicking on the runtime, and I guess Elon Musk being in it. But so that's kind of my biggest gripes with that. Anything else is the nitpickiest of nitpicks, if that. I don't even think I even have that.
My only gripe, dislike, whatever you want to call it, in this movie is I would have loved to have seen more of the chameleon character. And I was on the return flight home watching this, and I'm like watching it. I'm like, oh man, that sucks. The chameleon character they get dispatched like kind of quick, at least midway through the movie. And then they show up again in the movie, and they come back, and there's this whole second wind of this character. And I still feel like it was not enough. Like, I feel like the chameleon character would be a great character to have its own side story, to kind of have its own backstory, its own movie, to kind of tell you all the things that happen to get them to where they show up in this movie. I think it's just a great character. The chameleon is this shape-shifting character that is played by all these different actors. And like I said before, it shows up as Walton Goggins at first, then it's Cuba Gooding Jr., then it's Lady Gaga, then it's Antonio Banderas, and then it's back to Lady Gaga. And yeah, it's kind of forgettable that because they're dispatched so quickly, but that they do come back.
I do think Lady Gaga deserves a little bit of credit because this is her first acting role. And I remember when this came out, because I did see this in a theater, and I remember that was a big draw for this was, oh my God, Lady Gaga in her first movie. And my initial thought was like, she's going to be in it for like 2 minutes, probably dancing around on a stage or something. And she's more than that. You can tell, especially since she's specifically acting for her character between Walton Goggins, Cuba Gooding Jr., and Antonio Banderas. Those are three pretty seasoned actors.
Yeah.
With this one person in the middle. I think she holds her own for what she's asked to do. She doesn't always read dialogue as good as some other people in this movie, but I don't think it takes you out of the movie by any stretch. And I agree with you. I would have been absolutely fine with seeing either more of that character or that character get its own spinoff.
Agreed. I mean, how could I disagree with that?
So if we keep going at this, we could literally be here for another hour and 47 minutes because spoilers, I like Machete a lot, but unless you object, let's fire up the grill and get this moving.
Then you're in for a big treat, bro, because it's hot dog time.
And like I said, spoiler to no one who's ever listened to me on this show at all. I don't know why you would do that. I love Machete. I love Machete Kills. This movie is not as good as the first movie. The first movie is the superior Machete movie. This movie's still a hell of a lot of fun. It's got an amazing cast. It's got just everything about it, start to finish. I found negatives in this because I felt like I had to for the sake of this conversation. But realistically, this movie is fucking great. It's a full hot dog plus an extra hot dog on Sundays. If you haven't seen this movie, just go fucking watch it. Watch them both. Spend a whole afternoon just watching Machete. You're better off than whatever you're doing right now. I guarantee it.
Whose hot dog is this? Is it yours?
Good time.
So for me, I think this is a perfect blend of action and adventure. It's a wild ride from start to finish. There's really never really a dull moment. I don't know how many more cliches I could use to say how much I just really had a lot of fun watching this. It's fun as hell. It's got an awesome cast. No one seems like a weak link. There's not like someone on this cast that even has reading lines. I mean, you mentioned Lady Gaga, but I don't even see that. Nobody's a weak link in this movie. I mean, hands down.
I mean,
weak
if you're being like super critical. Like,
no, I feel
again,
like
I said I liked her at the process. So
I see. Yeah, no, I feel like anybody that has like a kind of odd performance, it's fitting for the genre. It's not something that stands out. Like if you've seen any kind of movies like that this sits in the exploitation genre. If you haven't seen the first Machete film, you might be lost watching this for a minute, but if you love any kind of exploitation film, you're going to get what you're looking for real quick in this movie. It's a hell of a ride. Of course, I couldn't give this anything less than a hot dog. This is a full hot dog. Machete Kills. This is a first time I've seen it. Loved it. I could see myself watching this like several more times. I don't need to say anything more. Had a lot of fun with it. It's a great movie. Total hot dogs, all of them.
See, again, Machete reigns supreme. We're going to have to get Machete Kills again in space. I actually kind of want the theatrical. So they don't have in the theatrical, they had another trailer in there for Machete Kills again. And then there was Machete Kills again in space. I want them both. We didn't do question of the week because I didn't want any of you coming in here and trying to ruin my love for Machete or Sean's love for Machete.
Don't rain on our parades.
And I didn't have anything to ask. So we didn't do that. Maybe we'll bring it back next week. We'll be getting into Christmas stuff next week. But in the meantime, we do ask that if you enjoy what we do, give us a follow. You can do that on social media at Dewey Pod Monster and all the relevant social networks, except for Blue Sky, where we're at crap.town. Please do go to our site, which is crap.town. You can leave us feedback there. You can tell us how much you love Machete. You can send us your fan films of Machete Kills again in space, the backyard version. I would watch it. Whatever you want to do, you can do it at crap.town. Please do go to our network site. We're part of the You Run Podcast Network, and we do ask that you go there and find, if you want, you can listen to us there, but find someone new while you're there. It's, 'tis the season to give likes and reviews and all that kind of good stuff. And wherever you listen to this, be it Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, whatever other podcast thing you do, if you can leave us a ranking or a rating, whatever they do on there, we would appreciate it. It helps us grow the show. Sean, what am I forgetting?
Well, I was just going to say, if you want to check out the show, you want to check out all the other cool places on the You Run Podcast Network, it's a virtual cornucopia of different shows. You'll find something you like over at yourunpodcast.com. If you like this show, you want to leave us some feedback, you want us to ask a question of the week, hit us up on social media. That's where, we're hanging out all the time. You can find us at Dewey Pod Monster. You can find us at crap.town on Blue Sky. You can find me at internalbleeding.crap.town on Blue Sky. Yes, that's a handle. It's the @ symbol internalbleeding.crap.town. You can find me on there. If you like any of the stuff we talked about, if you're interested in any of the stuff we talked about on this show, you can find a link to it in the show notes. Almost all of that's going to be free. On the rare occasion that we can't find some place to talk about it or link to it for free, it'll say Amazon or maybe some other thing. But if it especially says Amazon after it, that's an affiliate link. If you click that link, if you buy anything on Amazon, you click that link and buy it through our link that we linked, I guess, in the show notes. We get a small cut of that. That's a great way to help the show. Another great way to help the show, maybe just tell a friend about this show. You're like, oh, these guys talked about Machete Kills. Yeah, you might like them. And they like Machete. And you like Machete, right? If you don't like Machete, well, fuck you. Go there, tell your friend about it. They'll listen to the show. They'll tell some other friend. Maybe they'll like it too. We'll get a lot of people listen, and we'll, get all those Amazon dollars, and we'll stop making the show. I don't know what we'll do. But anyways, you can do that. That's a great way to help the show. That's all I got to say. John, back to you.
I think you just stumbled on the new catchphrase for this show. If you don't like Machete, well, fuck you. And that's it. That's all we got. Have a great Thanksgiving. We'll be back next week. Cheers and swell up, Butthorns.
Bird season's over, Butthorn.
Blah, blah, blah.